Julius Caesar was one of history's most legendary figures, but beyond the standard textbook facts, here are some unfiltered, raw details about the man who changed Rome forever. 1. He was kidnapped by pirates, and then got revenge. When Caesar was 25, pirates captured him and demanded a ransom of 20 talents of silver. He laughed at them, demanded they ask for 50 talents instead, and then promised he'd return to crucify them. After he was freed, he raised a fleet, hunted them down, and crucified every last one. But in a weird act of mercy, he slit their throats first. 2. He was a ladies' man and a men's man. Caesar had a legendary sex life, sleeping with noble women, queens, including Cleopatra, and even wives of his allies. His soldiers joked that he was every woman's man and every man's woman, hinting at rumors that he had an affair with the king of Bithynia in his youth. His enemies used it to mock him, but he didn't seem to care. 3. He personally led his men into battle. Unlike other Roman politicians who let generals do the dirty work, Caesar fought on the front lines. During the siege of Miletus, his ship was boarded by the enemy, and he grabbed a sword and fought hand-to-hand like a gladiator. His soldiers worshipped him for it. 4. He cried when he saw a statue of Alexander the Great. At 32, Caesar saw a statue of Alexander and broke down because by that age, Alexander had conquered the world, and he felt like he hadn't done enough yet. That's when he went all in on taking over Rome. 5. He wrote a book just to flex on his haters. His famous work, The Gallic Wars, wasn't just history, it was propaganda. He wrote about his conquests in third person to make himself sound like an unstoppable force of nature. It worked, and he became Rome's biggest celebrity. 6. He once defeated an entire army while outnumbered 5-1. At the Battle of Alesia, Caesar was surrounded by a massive Gallic force while besieging a city. Instead of retreating, he built a second wall around himself, trapping both his army and the enemy inside. After weeks of brutal fighting, he won, cementing his legend. 7. He crossed the Rubicon knowing he was starting a civil war. The phrase crossing the Rubicon comes from him literally doing it. Roman law said no general could bring his army into Italy, but in 49 BC, Caesar marched his legions across the Rubicon River, knowing it meant war with Pompey and the Senate. He reportedly said, "Alia iacta est," the die is cast, meaning there was no turning back. 8. He had a legendary one-liner after a battle. After a lightning-fast victory at the Battle of Zela, Caesar sent the Senate a message with just 3 words: Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. It was the ancient Roman equivalent of a mic drop. 9. He had epilepsy, or something close to it. Caesar suffered from sudden seizures throughout his life, possibly epilepsy or mini-strokes. He tried to hide it, but some historians think it influenced his thirst for power. He needed to prove he was still strong. 10. His last words weren't "Et tu, Brute?" Shakespeare made that famous. But in reality, when he saw Brutus among his assassins, he supposedly said, "Kai su, teknon?" Greek for "you too, my child." Whether it was a curse, a sad realization, or something else is still debated. Caesar was a genius, a warrior, a master manipulator, and one of history's ultimate power players. His death didn't just end his life. It ended the Roman Republic and led to the rise of the empire.